Facebook. Just hit record. Yeah, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. We have the one, the only, Mr. Denis Manzer in the house. Well, in his own house. Here I am at Light Cellar. He's getting ready for a big night tonight. He's going to be teaching a cacao elixir crafting ceremony. And here we are. We're just kind of on the week of the launch of the brand new book, The Chocolate Life. And it does contain some insights and conversation around drinking chocolate, including recipes as well. And I go into sacred cacao ceremonies and that aspect. But there was a moment where in creating the book, I was wondering, okay, what's going to go in, what's not going to go in. And one of the ideas early on was to really kind of lean on Denis and his expertise as related to drinking chocolate, right? Which is how chocolate was always consumed forever. So he's going to share a little bit about that and talk about his experiences as an approach to drinking chocolate. So welcome, Denis. Stoked to chat with you this afternoon.
Yes, hello, Malcolm. This is quite a honor. In fact, well, I've been working almost 10 years with chocolate as somewhat of a power ally herb. Like, chocolate's one of the most powerful herbs on the planet, and we see it everywhere.
And first, I want to highlight that and emphasize that point, because when you propose, so every Valentine's Day, you'll do something related to cacao, and usually it's like aphrodisia, and no doubt that's going to like weave its way into your presentation tonight, which is free, by the way. If anybody wants to join and hop on this call with Denis, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, it's going to be online. Just go to lightcellar.ca, type that up, get registered, and if you think you're like, oh, I'm hitting this interview after the fact, still go there, still register, because then we can send you the replay as well. But the number one thing that stood out, and I 100% agree, but you called it out. You're like, cacao is a powerful herb. Most people think of chocolate as candy, right? And then a lot of people in our community will think of cacao as a food, as a superfood. And here you are, you've gone as far as to say it is a herb. So let's break that down. What in your mind makes it a herb?
Yeah, so cacao is definitely used medicinally. So chocolate can be used in many conditions to bring the human body back to health and vitality. It also, we know how women especially love chocolate during certain times of the month. Cacao has an amazing therapeutic value for the human body, a medicinal, strengthening quality that is one of the reasons that I consider it one of the very best stimulants for humans. So that's, of course, the major herbal action of cacao is as a stimulant, a substance that awakens the senses, creates alertness, concentration, focus, clarity. It's on the same level as caffeine in a lot of ways as coffee, yet it does something more than coffee, for it is incredibly nutritive. In herbalism, we talk about certain herbs that are nutritive, and it's that they're delivering an amazing quantity of minerals, and things the human body needs to function. So that's what I think makes cacao so much better than coffee. When you have a cacao, you're actually not just stimulating yourself, but you're also nourishing yourself, right? Giving your body fuel. for what we need
Yeah,
to do.
totally. I mean, and that's kind of how I've defined a quote unquote a superfood, of which everyone has their own interpretation, but mine has always kind of landed on that aspect that we can have a food, right? Like an apple, food value, vitamins, minerals, calories. In order for it to be a superfood, it's got to have unique, high, extraordinary amounts, right? Like the magnesium in cacao, high amounts, antioxidants, right? Very high and rich, in food value. And then herb, which you mentioned as well, which is this idea that it's consumed to bring the body back into balance, or to create a physiological shift, and you're not necessarily reaching to it as a nourishment in the sense of getting food value, vitamins, minerals, calories, whereas to me, a true superfood is something that is both, right? That's what cacao is doing. You just shared that.
Oh yeah, and then we definitely see on top of that cacao being quite medicinal pharmacologically, which means cacao is very medicinal as far as the effects on the mind and psyche. So, and it's more than just a stimulant like caffeine. We see in cacao many different compounds that affect our senses, like affect our perceptions. So cacao is very pharmacologically active. Like, it's nutritive, it is stimulant, well, and it also does things to our brain which are very desirable.
And our mood, right? It's a total mood elevator.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I really got into cacao, Malcolm. Um, it was over 10 years ago. It was when I was still coming to Light Cellar as a customer. Before I ever started working there, I would come into Light Cellar and I would bike down there. So I would bike down there from university, and I started getting into these little chocolate cups you had there.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember those quite well. Yeah, absolutely.
$2 a pop, but I would go in and pick up whatever I wanted. I got my hemp seeds, I got my reishi mushrooms, and then I'd have a couple of the chocolate cups, and I'd just wolf them down while I was like getting ready to go. And I was like, oh man, I have to go back in for more. I would end up eating like 12 chocolate cups.
Yeah.
And felt tremendous energy. Like I would just bike like crazy. It the effect it has on your mind is that, well, one of the compounds we know in chocolate is that it contains the love molecule, right?
Yeah, the PEA, the phenethylamines.
Phenethylamine, yeah. And this can really affect how you look at the world, how you look at the tasks you have to do. So I would eat all these chocolate cups, and I wouldn't think, oh man, I have like a half an hour bike ride to go home. And I'd be like, oh man. No, I'd be like, I've got a half an hour bike ride. I'm just loving it. You know what I mean? It can
Yeah,
dramatically affect your perspective
for
of.
sure. Yeah, there's a little like tagline I put in the book, with cacao, you're in the now, right? It really puts you in that state of like you say, like opens your eyes, puts you in that state of wonder, right? Childlike wonder often, if you'll allow yourself.
And actually loving the tasks you have to do, or yeah,
Cool. All right. Well, that's awesome. And anything more to kind of say about the herbal aspect, or should we get into now this delivery system, right, of drinking chocolate?
Well, that's a big part of it too. I mean, the chemistry of cacao is so um, rich that it's actually quite a conversation. Um, Yeah, I guess if you we're gonna go deep into that in the class tonight at 7 p.m. But that's
Yeah.
another very important aspect of cacao is when we look back at the origins and the history of cacao, when we go back to the Aztecs, the Mayans, these great civilizations in Mesoamerica, they were definitely revering cacao. And there was something really fascinating about the way they used cacao was that they would actually use it to prescribe other herbs with it. So if you went to the herb doctor or the medicine person and you were like, "Oh, I've got a tummy ache, right?" or something, they'd be like, "Okay, take these herbs in the chocolate." So they would prepare you a medicinal hot chocolate. And there's like over 70 different recipes we know from the Mayans that they would actually prescribe different herbs in the chocolate for various things. And one of the ideas is that it guarantees you're going to take your medicine, right?
That it does. Yeah.
Who doesn't
Yeah.
love chocolate?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that it facilitates the absorption of medicinal compounds because perhaps you drink a tea of something very bitter, you might not like it, but when you mix it with the cacao, your body actually wants the cacao. Your body wants everything that's in the cacao. It's going to absorb it and bring those medicinal constituents deeper into the body. So it does it does help with the absorption of medicinal constituents.
For sure. And driving it down, right, as a vasodilator, just like, opening up, increasing blood flow, and everything that can then go along with it, right?
So they were definitely using the cacao to deliver, well, one of the famous medicinal herbs they would add in is, of course, chili peppers, hot cayenne pepper. And chili peppers is honestly one of the other greatest herbs on the planet Earth. You know, it does so many good things for the body, but the cacao mixed with the cacao, it's this perfect combo
Yeah, this circulatory stimulant, right?
where they both potentiate each other. But the other fascinating thing when you look into the history of cacao is the Mesoamericans were using cacao as a delivery vehicle for not only medicinal herbs, but also psychoactive herbs. So magic mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean that that still goes on today, right? People with their mushroom chocolates, and we know chocolate even itself, not as dramatic as say a magic mushroom, but it is psychoactive in its own right.
Absolutely. And what we are seeing from the Mesoamericans is they didn't consider magic mushrooms to be recreational, but they saw it as medicine also, for the mind, for the spirit. But the Mayans said when you consumed magic mushrooms with cacao, it guarantees you're going to have a good trip.
Right.
And it's because of all the mood elevating substances in the cacao that you're just going to have a good time and not necessarily worry too much or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's various. The Mayans were famous for they've got dozens of psychoactive plants they would mix with cacao, and we're as a society just kind of starting to normalize this, and it's actually
yeah, it's very natural, right? The breadth and diversity of different psychoactive substances and cultures all around the world that have consumed them. It's quite a natural phenomenon for humans, not just humans, but also all animals. And like you say, we're kind of normalizing that in our culture right now, which is great, moving beyond those stigmas. And chocolate, I would say, is moving in that direction as well, like beyond just being a candy, seeing it as a herb, seeing it as a food, as medicine, and everything that you can add to it, right? This delivery system, which is kind of where where I wanted to bring the book of the cacao. It's all about flavor, it's about function, and it's about feeling and exploring and utilizing cacao in that way. So I know you're the master of drinking chocolate. So tonight you're going to be having your class, and free to join if anybody still is available and they want to hop on line and join you from wherever you are. If you register now, even if you can't make it, we'll send you the recording afterwards, and it's going to be fun, going to be entertaining. I know you're going to bring in this medicinal aspect, the delivery system aspect, but also kind of the aphrodisiac aspect, how that all plays, and then some very special herbs that you're going to be incorporating into the drinks as well. So
Yeah, it's honestly one of the most helpful things I've ever learned how to make is a hot chocolate. And honestly, yeah, at this point, I can probably bang out a hot chocolate in 2 minutes. So this has helped me a lot when, you've got a beautiful lady friend and she comes home from work and she's grumpy. She doesn't even have to say anything. Well, about wanting a hot chocolate, I'm already making a hot chocolate.
right.
Get that into her hands. It's the benefits are indirectly beneficial for my life.
For sure. Right on. So some good skills, some good insight to be had here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fascinating how in this modern age we have so many things around the world at our fingertips. And especially living in Canada, I'm sure a lot of people are starting to ask themselves like, wow, we really depend on other parts of the world for a lot of things. And I've thought about this for a long time. Like, I went to university for political sciences, and one of the focuses of my studies was food security. I was really, really looking at Canada and really realizing, like, wow, we're kind of, kind of fragile that we're depending so much on California, so much on Mexico, so much on other parts of the world for our food in general. But chocolate is one of the things that I never felt bad about buying. One of the reasons is because chocolate requires natural biodiversity to grow. So one of the worst things we're doing as a society is like, we're actually causing deforestation in the Amazon by buying Burger King burgers. Like, we're causing deforestation because they're planting all these soya beans. They're
Yeah,
cutting
no,
down the
totally.
trees. This
Yeah.
is really, like, huge consequences for natural biodiversity, and we don't even know what we're losing down there.
Yeah. So the way I've kind of approached it is, one can look at it like an 80-20 kind of a thing, but if we can get the bulk of our food calories, our staples, local, and especially items that are fresh, right? If that could be 80% what we're sourcing from local food systems, be that, just in and around, the province or the city or the state that you live in, or the country. And then, it's the spice of life, right? The exotics and the erotics that are going to come from far away. Because I don't know many people that want to give up black pepper or coffee or chocolate. And it's a different thing, when they're grown in the right way. Because I'll just clarify that you can have very damaging practices to grow cacao, right? There's tons and tons of plantations that are just, clear-cut areas of industrial monoculture. So really what we want to kind of focus on is moving away from what I call commodity chocolate, right? Where that is the name of the game, this kind of mass industrial scale, and moving more towards the craft, heirloom beans, wild cacao beans, like you say, that thrive in this kind of vibrant, diverse ecosystem. And that's absolutely possible. And that's a different world that we're supporting and creating versus the commodity industrialized model.
Yeah, there's something called market-driven conservation of ecosystems, where I've never felt bad about buying cacao the light cellar, because I know my money is actually supporting this thriving ecosystem, rainforest environment, where there's like dozens and dozens of different animal species and different plant species. Like it's a very beautiful thing. And we as North Americans we do have to really look at our food and where it comes from. But when we're buying cacao in this way, we're actually doing a beautiful thing for the planet Earth. And it's a vote with our dollars. But yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the whole goal, right? Is like to transform our diet where everything aligns, like you say, on that kind of larger macro global level, but then right down to, individually and our own like optimal nourishment, enough eating empty calories, right? That are harmful and destructive. We want the good stuff, and chocolate absolutely delivers. Maybe we can just kind of tie up this conversation, and I'll just emphasize, you talked about the complexity of cacao. It's so complex, right? The chemical composition, like we still have not actually really broken it down to every single nutrient and chemical component in it. It's actually so complex. We've never been able to synthesize it. There's no artificial chocolate whatsoever, where, things like vanilla or strawberry, banana, like we've been able to recreate those into artificial flavors. Yeah, it's no good, right? But chocolate is the goods. And, the whole goal, in you teaching these classes and you sharing your information is very similar to mine as well. It's like helping people go deep into the potency of these real authentic foods, how to use them. And that was the whole kind of mission of this book too, right? Is everything we talked about, how to be your own chocolate maker, how to be your own chocolate alchemist, how to make chocolate drinks as a delivery system for herbs. And that cacao itself is a herb and one of the best, superfoods as well.
And chocolate can be really healthy for you. I know a lot of people have this like stigma that it's going to make them fat, but that's like the candy version full of palm oil and all this other stuff. It's like, I wonder what percentage of that chocolate is actually chocolate when you buy those. But cacao is actually one of the healthiest foods on the planet in populations of people that eat a lot of cacao. Like, I've heard estimates, Malcolm, that the Mayans had a diet of 40% cacao
Wow.
in their era where they were building the pyramids, where we can't understand how they built those.
Right.
There's estimates that their diet was 40% cacao, which
wow.
But
so the strength, the intellectual capacity, right?
Yeah, and in certain places, like I remember there was these studies in Costa Rica where there was they found some isolated people that were still had a lot of cacao in their diet, and there was virtually zero heart disease. They were some of the healthiest people on the planet Earth. So we definitely, that's part of our mission for sure. We got to bring back cacao as a healthful, nutritious, medicinal food, and not something that's gonna, when you eat chocolate, it's important that you have that feeling in your heart, like this is good for me, not
Yeah.
feel guilty.
Right. Totally. Okay. Well, we're on that mission. We're succeeding. And two kind of invitations, calls to action that for anybody that's watching right now is first and foremost, here we are. It is Friday, February 11th. We're kind of middle of the day doing this live, but it's also going to get posted other platforms like our Light Cellar YouTube and Instagram channels. So if you still have time and you want to join Denis this evening for his drinking chocolate class, cacao elixir crafting, that's happening tonight, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Plus, if you're registered, we'll send you the link and his little recipe booklet afterwards too. If you're interested in picking up a copy of the book, lightcellar.ca, as well as in store. If you're local to Calgary, we can get the physical copy, you can get the e-copy. Just came out. It's more than 30 recipes. Again, how to be your own chocolate maker, chocolate alchemist, chocolatier, all of the above. Plus, a real good breakdown of some of what Denis and I were talking about and more. So thanks for joining me this afternoon, Denis. I know you're gonna have a fun time with whoever tunes in tonight. We got a good crowd that's gonna be showing up. And yeah, I know you always have fun.
Yeah, and and it's also the YYC Hot Chocolate Festival right now, hey?
Oh, of
So if
course.
you're in Calgary, we're in a big contest. Light Cellar has won. We won the prize one year, and honestly, we probably won many years in a row, but I think they want to give the prize around. But we won the YYC Hot Chocolate Contest because our chocolate was so healthful. And so
and
come
delicious.
check it out. What's our chocolate this year, Malcolm?
Yeah, so it's one. So I gave direction on. I've had this theme I wanted to do for so long, and so I gave that to the staff as direction, and then it was this collaborative team effort. So the direction was, let's incorporate evergreens. I didn't care. It could be pine, it could be spruce, it could be Douglas fir, it could be balsam fir. That kind of evergreen quality. So they came up with, and we dubbed it, called Into the Woods. And yeah, it's got some balsam fir in it. And it's like this, chocolate forest experience. It's like north meets south. And it's coming out with some nice, good rave reviews. People are enjoying it. And like you said, we've probably already won the number of titles and contests that we can for YYC Hot Chocolate Fest, but we do enter every year. We do have a lot of fun, and we've made some very successful drinks. We put the recipes of some previous winners in there, like that was one that we did one year, Mayan hot chocolate. The black gold. So anything that we had done in years past, I hadn't put into the Elixir Life book, now went into the Chocolate Life book. So
yeah, and if you ever have a hankering for a little medicinal, nutritional hot chocolate, you got to just come down to Light Cellar Elixir Bar. We can make you an authentic, super medicinal hot chocolate to make sure you're you got the strength to make love to your to-do list. That's right. Make love to your to-do list, because it's powerful stuff.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it there. Thanks everybody that tuned in, and whether it was live or the replay afterwards. So we'll connect again soon. Bye for now.